We got a fun one today. The Jordan Luka 2s, fresh off the press, retailing for $130. I mean, the Luka 1s were really nice and $10 cheaper. So will the second model be worth a $10 price jump? I don't know about you, but I'm ready to find out. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we're going to be breaking down the Jordan Luka 2 and everything that comes along with it, but most importantly, we're going to be breaking down the performance. But we'll get to that in just a second. Stay tuned for the end. I will be giving the shoe a letter grade, where you can just jump to the end right now and see what I'm going to end up rating it. But if you're going to do that, may as well buy the shoes. Check out the affiliate links down in the description if you end up liking it. But now we'll go ahead and actually dive into the Jordan Luka 2. I just kind of touched on it in the intro. These are going to retail for $130. So second model, straight to a price jump. You don't see that very often, but now that I think about it, the Puma Mellow Ball 1s and 2s, there was a price jump there. Trey's line stayed the same. There's price jumps happening. I don't know what. Normally it's like 2 to 3 models is how long they'll wait to start doing something like that. These are all, right out of the box going to be retailing for $130. That's still a cheap price, especially whenever you're talking about Jordan brand. So I'm really not too worried about it. But you know, $120 on the Luka 1s. We're already looking at $130. I'd be willing to put money right now that the Jordan Luka 3 is going to retail for the same price. But that's not what we're here to talk about. First off, we will look at just a little bit of the design of the shoe. So they did switch up, not the build, but they switched up like some of just the stuff going on the upper, like this white kind of speckled spot. This is actually the Matador colorway. Miguel likes this like mint green colorway too. I love it. I think it looks really clean. Love the details on it, but this is a mint green like Matador colorway or something like that. That's what they call it. But as far as the actual design pieces, they switched it up. Like this piece that wasn't there last year, they have some overlays running on this shoe that just wasn't on the Luka 1s. Like the Luka 1s had like a cable wire like strip setup that was like basically running on the side. It was more of a simple look. I think that's what they did. They just kind of explored, kind of trying out a few different pieces on here. One of the things that I really do like whenever you're going to talk about the details is like it says on the back of the shoe, it's on the back of the right shoe and the left shoe. We'll have a b-roll shot of it where it says non-desistas, non-exiares, and I don't know necessarily what that means, but it roughly translates to don't stop or like don't give up. So I like that. Probably gives you more of like an idea, peel back the curtain on Luka's mindset and stuff like that, because dude is tough. He will definitely not stop if he is trying to get a bucket. If he's trying to stop you on defense, he might just not play defense. But anyways, we're going off the rails. As far as the design goes, I was just mainly wanting to point out they did switch up some stuff, but they kept the same build. They didn't make it any higher or lower. The actual structure of the shoe seems to feel about the same. So now we'll go ahead and just start breaking these down. The first thing I usually like to look at is the cushion, but we're going to switch it up when we talk about the traction today, because that's a spot that we'll start off talking about the traction right now. That's just a spot that these are super nice, and it's going to have a translucent outsole. That's different than what like some people prefer on basketball shoes, and that's just mostly has to do with like dust collecting. Translucent outsoles tend to, you know, pick up that dust a little bit quicker. You'll be prone to like have to do some more wiping and stuff like that. But forget all of that. Talking about the traction itself, the Luka 1s, top tier, Luka 2s, pretty much right along there with them. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there might have been slightly better bite in the 1s, but whenever it comes to like these being sticky, it's there. You see it in our traction test. These are catching the floor really, really well. Same thing with our squeak test. Like they're making a little bit of noise out there. Maybe not a ton, but there is a little bit. So I mean, whenever it comes to the traction, that's a spot where I need my shoes to have good grip. I want to say it goes like cushion, traction, support for me, but it might be traction, cushion, support, because I can maybe get by. I can maybe do what I want to do. My foot's uncomfortable. If I'm sliding around out there, I can't do it. The Luka 2s pretty much have you covered. So now, since I pretty much hinted at it, we'll look a little bit more at, you know, that cushioning section. So for the cushion, what they're actually using, it's just like some Formula 23 foam. I think they kind of tuck some of that in there, but it's like a wedge of cushion in the midsole. It's like buds up against the medial sidewall. This is more of like, you know, the Nike tech specs, but something that I noticed from the jump, got the Luka 2s out of the box, slid them on. It's just not as soft under your foot this year. It's going to be more responsive. Like last year, the Luka 1s kind of had that plush feel. Like, I mean, the foam, whatever, it reminded me a little bit of like PG's line, how I'd been feeling like super soft initially, just didn't require that much breaking time. These are going to be a little bit more responsive. And I'm like backwards, because that's supposed to be good for guards. Guards tend to like that, you know, more responsive, quick step type stuff. I tend to like my shoes to play a little bit softer just because I like to be comfortable out there. So that's how I tend to look at that. cushioning is still going to be a good spot. But we'll use our durometer and actually check out the midsole, and these were reading at a 43.5. That's actually, it's more firm than average, and at the same time it's like almost up 10. What do you measure durometer in? 10 ounces? 10 whatever. It's like 10 points higher almost than the Luka ones from last year. Doesn't always reflect how the shoe plays. It more so just like talks about how stiff or firm that midsole makeup actually is. But it is going to be not like the cushioning is a one spot that jumped out to me that wasn't quite on par with the Luka ones from last year. And then another thing that we can look at now is just like the actual build. I've talked about it a little bit. The makeup of this model, excuse me, the makeup and like the structure of this model, strikingly similar to the Luka one. It's got the same type of design. Put them side by side, strip that off, give it the same cable wire setup. It's gonna look like the same shoe, but at the same time, this is just like a really sturdy model, and that's what I was saying last year too. Like these have some overlays. The overlays are more of like a carpet like feel on this on this Matador shoe. More of like a fabric type design. And then this is like the toe box is a little bit more, not fabric, but it's got like this knit feel. It's very thick. The breathability on the Luka 2, I'm not that impressed with it. It's not really made for that. If you're going to get any of the breathability, it's going to more so be up the tongue. The actual model, I've said it a million times, just very sound, very built, very sturdy. And so if you want a supportive shoe, these are going to be checking that box probably a couple times over. But with all that like supportive feel, the weight did go up a little bit. So we actually weighed the Luka 2s. The reading's going to show 464. That is with the stuffing in there, but without the stuffing, the Luka 2 is still going to be weighing 430 grams. And look, that's not bad. That's not bad at all, especially for a low top. Like it's pretty good. But the Luka ones were 414, and the support feel just as good last year. Like it maybe didn't have quite as many features, but those flywire cables on the side, along with just the way that model was constructed, I thought that it felt really nice to play in. The Luka 2s basically give you that exact same thing, just slightly heavier. The one thing that I did notice though that stuck out to me a little bit is like whenever you walk in these, that material creases, and it creases in a weird way. So like this is, you can tell I can't even really fold the shoe much. You really only get mobility in the front half, and in the front half you get some creasing. I noticed it especially on my left shoe. It was like messing with my toes a little bit. It wasn't bad, but I noticed it messing with my toes a little bit. And I told you, obviously I'm about comfort. So that's one thing that I just keep that in mind. Also let me know in the comments if that's something that you've kind of noticed on your own shoe. But like for me, I thought that was a spot that the support was there, but it's almost, more than it needs to be to a certain degree. Cause like I said, there's not a lot of breathability going on in there. But the design itself is going to make sure that you're locked in. So, I mean, that is going to kind of lead us more towards the sizing. And when we're talking about the fit, that's where you don't want to go a size up. If you already have some like creasing in the toe box, that's going to add to it. You're going to be rolling right over. So sizing, standard width, I mean, it's not a super narrow model, but you do have about a thumb's width left over for the length. And that's probably what added to my creasing. Like I might go a half size down on the Luka 2. I went true to size, had a little bit too much room left over, but overall, to just kind of put a button to wrap up this Luka 2 model, I kind of spent the back half of that. I kind of structured this weird. Spent the back half bagging on it a little bit. The traction, top tier. Traction is going to be excellent, and the cushion is going to be pretty good too. Like it's balanced. You don't get much of a difference from the forefoot to the heel. Jordan Brand is known to, like in the Why Not 6, they'll throw some bubbles and stuff up there, give you a little bit more of a front-loaded feel, which I'm always a fan of that. Not everybody is. This shoe doesn't have that. Just expect like a pretty standard playing feel, but the traction is going to be a spot where we're 2 models in now, knocking them both down. That's great. And the support, like I said, they may have overdone it, but it's still there. The cushion's where I'm going to notice the biggest like slight tail off this year with this model. Like it's going to be more of a responsive feel. It's just going to require some more breaking time. Like don't get these in, think you're going to go start running 5-on-5s and expect to come out of that 5-on-5 session feeling great. You might not. So you're going to want to break these in just a little bit more, but it's still far from bad. So overall, I'm going to have to give my official rating on the Luka 2, I'm gonna give it a B+ down from like an A- last year. I really like the Luka ones, and if I'm gonna just have to take a spot, pick between the two, I'd probably lean towards the Luka ones just with that creasing, kind of combining that with the model getting a little bit heavier. And I mentioned it, the traction's really good. I think I said top tier. It's like the tier under top tier, like just barely not quite there, because it does collect a little bit of dust more so than I even noticed on the Luka ones, and those both had a translucent outsole. But we are going to have the Luka 2 available down in the link below. If you like the shoe and you want to be supporting our channel, we'll have an affiliate link down there. Feel free to give him a purchase. But B+, that's not bad. He's much better than a B+ player though. With the Luka 2 at 130 bucks, pretty solid model. Go get one.